Hey everyone. Sorry I'm late here. I was supposed to start this particular podcast about 30 minutes ago, and YouTube decided to take a massive grumper on the internet, and I don't know what happened, but it's not working. It didn't. I had to use StreamYard, and StreamYard seems to be working. But we're going to talk about the great holiday gifts for 2023, video game holiday gifts, I should say. And we're also going to discuss who's going to have a better 2024, Xbox or PlayStation. So let's talk about it right now. All right, everyone, welcome back to BRAP. Thank you for joining me in this holiday rant. Sorry about the technical difficulties that we're having earlier this morning. I was supposed to go live at 11:15, and it is now 11:43 Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, thank you, YouTube, for crapping out. And I don't know what happened. I was having some kind of audio issues, and I was trying to create a new stream. I couldn't do that in YouTube, so I had to go to StreamYard. So I am live on StreamYard. So yeah, anyhow, but it's good to be back though. Wasn't anticipating doing a BRAP rant this morning, but figured what the hell, I'm going to do a BRAP rant anyway, and discuss the best holiday gifts for 2023. Look, if you celebrate Christmas Eve is tomorrow. You still have today and tomorrow to pick up a loved one, or maybe even yourself. Treat yourself to a holiday gift. And there are a lot of great deals out there right now for the holidays, video game related deals, of course, for the holidays. But also going to talk about who's going to have the better 2024. Look, we know from a demand standpoint, in terms of hardware sales, that the PlayStation 5 had a very strong 2023. Whether you prefer the PlayStation or Xbox consoles, that is more of that's subjective. That is one's own personal preference. My preference to my platform of preference is PC. That is primarily where I game. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, the second playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, I should add. I'm over 230 hours into the game, and I am loving every moment of it. I completed the first playthrough, started a second playthrough, and the second playthrough is this is crazy. I'm enjoying the second playthrough even more than I did the first playthrough. And part of that, in fairness, part of that is because I know how to play the game now. There was definitely a learning curve for me during the first playthrough. I've learned how to play the game, how to navigate the menus, how to use different spells. But there are certain dialogue or certain characters that I missed in the first playthrough. Like, how did I miss Gale? He's right there in the beginning of the game in Act 1, and I missed him. And now I have him as part of my team, my ensemble, and I love having him as a character in my as part of my team. And so I just don't know how I missed him. There was a portal that I stumbled upon in the second playthrough where he is asking for help, and I helped him, and now he's part of my team. And I'm just really, and there's some dialogue, some dialogue conversations that I didn't have in the first playthrough that I'm having right now. So it is by far my favorite game. It really is. It's my favorite thing. I mentioned this on Crossfire last year. One of the low points in gaming is 2023 has been Twitter or X. I see some people are taking out of context what I said. There's this weirdo who follows me on Twitter, and he's always trying to take things out of context, and he actually responded today. Kind of funny, good. Tom Warren, bad. I wonder why. I mean, this is the kind of immaturity that unfortunately happens in gaming discourse. I don't know why people spend time to try to have these aha moments on X. I mean, this is a social media platform, and look, I'm not going to be nice about it anymore. I'm assuming the people that behave this way are probably people that have some kind of maybe mental illness, are probably on the spectrum, probably are low performers in life, and that has been and I've been on the Twitter platform, the gaming platform, from over 10 years now, and it's progressively gotten worse. And it's unfortunate because there's some really good conversations to be had right now in gaming. The gaming industry is doing, I mean, outside of the layoffs, from a consumer standpoint, we are getting a lot of great content. There's a lot of video games to be played this year. It's going to be interesting to see how 2024 stacks up to 2023. I think, based on what I've seen, potential releases, I still think 2023 is going to be the better year. But even then, I mean, there's so much to talk about. So much to talk about in terms of video games. And a lot of that stuff's being missed. A lot of people aren't talking about those things. They're trying to have these aha moments. They're trying to misrepresent information that's out there. There tends to be a movement to suppress information or conversations that are based on data points, tangible data points, I might add. And I it's just unfortunate. Twitter's just become a place where you just can't have good dialogue anymore, and it's been hijacked by people who I would say don't understand the business, don't care to understand the business, and are more concerned with being right and having a conversation at the level of someone sitting at a dive bar and arguing sports. And that's not what we do here on this show. And as a friendly reminder to anyone in the chat who's new, we don't console war here. If that's the kind of show that you're looking for, there's plenty of other YouTube channels that you can go to for that. We just don't do that here. We try to, the conversations that we have here on this show, as a reminder, tend to be more of an analysis of the industry, of what we're seeing in terms of tangible numbers, tangible data points. Sure, we may add and provide our opinion with certain things, but we're not out here trying to spread misinformation, disinformation, or we're not or trying to drive engagement for the benefit of the channel. And at the to the detriment of our listeners. We just don't do that. We never have done that. I started BRAP 8 years ago, and I've shared this story before. I remember when I was had the conversation with B Money. I said, B, this is 2015. I said, hey, I want to do a YouTube channel. I said, I don't know what platform to cover. He said, well, what do you play on? I said, I play everything. I play on everything. I play on Xbox, play on PlayStation, play on Nintendo. I play everything. And he's like, well, then that's what your channel should be based on. He's like, if you want to grow quick, he's like, you could be an Xbox centric podcast. That will grow quickly, or you can go PlayStation. That will grow quickly. He's like, but then you're kind of stuck just doing that kind of content. That's not what I wanted to do. And that's why here at BRAP, we tend to be more, not as much console centric per se. And look, and obviously we have our preferences. People here in the live chat have their preferences, a platform they choose to play video games on. That's fine. We don't have issue with anyone playing on PlayStation, Xbox, PC. Although I will say, if you're not gaming on PC, you're surely missing the definitive version of the gaming experience, which is on PC. I've said that many times here on the show. So, hey, Froggy, to your right. Yes, a Merry Christmas to you as well. Froggy, I want to see you do better in 2024, sir. I've seen you in these console war YouTube channels. I don't know why you partake. I in some weird sense, I see people saying that it's a form of entertainment. It's just not a form of entertainment that I find any value in, but to each his own. But no, Merry Christmas to you as well. Ice Queen Gaming, thank you so much. It's great to see you as well. Please, everyone, I'm going to copy the link here, the live chat. If you do me a favor and retweet it. But as I mentioned on Crossfire, that's kind of been a low point, just the conversation piece around on Twitter. I mean, this has been a great year in video games for 2023. And I see more negative conversations around things pertaining to video games as opposed to how great this year was. I mean, I just mentioned I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3, which is an amazing game. It is amazing. Definitely my favorite game of the year, my favorite game of the generation. Nah, Froggy T. Right, I'm already doing better in 2024. I'm a step ahead of the game. El Nini, how are you doing? What's up, El Nini? El Nini, I think you were on the Crossfire chat last night, but great Crossfire last night. And it's interesting. So as we think about the new year, and those of us who do partake in the New Year's resolutions, I said this to Mooch. I said, Mooch, great show. I said, it's funny. We've come a long way, Mooch. For those who don't know, like Mooch and I had each other blocked. I am a time traveler. I'm also an economist. Someone tweeted this today. It was so funny. They're like, I forget who this was. I'll share his name. X Abbott's like, oh, Brad calling Tom Ward a pundit. That's rich. Meanwhile, Brad thinks he's an economist, a lawyer, and a market expert. Okay. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. And sometimes X Abbott is here in the live chat. I don't know if he's listening right now. But I responded to him. I said, didn't you know I'm all three? Also add astrophysicist to the list. But Froggy T. Ray brought up a great point. You should add time traveler to that list too. Great Scott. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. By the way, does anyone know why Xbox is tweeting on Twitter? This is what I'm talking about. Oh my goodness. It's just so ridiculous. So I had a conversation with Mooch this morning, and again, just complimenting on the show yesterday. I thought it was a good show. Thought there was a lot of insight. Wandering Dutch was on. Gamers Gamut was on. Blaze 4K was on. Wandering Dutch made some really great points about. We had a conversation around the pro version of consoles, and I thought Wandering Dutch brought up some great points regarding. The pro consoles and potentially what the next Xbox might look like. But it's a great show. Definitely check it out. But I said to Mooch and I, for those who don't know, our history hasn't always been sunshine and flowers. Was it sunshine and roses? Anyhow, it hasn't always been good. We actually had each other blocked on Twitter for quite some time. We really disagreed quite a bit back in 2014, 15. I think we may have blocked each other in 2016. And then we ended up connecting one day. He unblocked me, had reached out to me, or had somebody actually reach out to me and ask the person if I'd be open to having a conversation with them. And I did. And we talked about our disagreements and blocking each other. And it's kind of interesting, and we still don't always agree, by the way. But we hatch things out, and I think that's kind of an important lesson here, that you can disagree with someone and still have a relationship with them or be able to have conversations with them. And he said, yeah, but I said to him, I said, yeah, we definitely come a long way. And he's like, yeah, we certainly have come a long way. And he said, just goes to show that any relationship is fixable. And it's true. At the end of the day, one of the things, I'll never forget the conversation that I had with him when we had reconnected. It was like we all love the same thing. We all love video games. So why are we arguing? And when I say arguing, I say more of the console war stuff. Froggy T. Right. Actually, I was an Xbot, but that was like 20 something years ago when I was on when I was a forum moderator on the GameSpot forums. I was actually the Xbox forum moderator at GameSpot at the time. And I was an Xbox fanboy. I've talked about this quite a bit. Many of the same tactics, if you will, that were employed back 21 years ago are the same ones that I see today. The media bias stuff, that was one. I literally got to an argument with Greg Kasavin, who was the editor-in-chief at the time at GameSpot. Greg's actually now at Supergiant Games. I forget what his title is at Supergiant Games, but and we actually have had Greg Kasavin on the show. We had him on Brat back in like 2017. It's been like 6 years since we've had Greg on, and that was a great conversation with Greg. But a lot of the tactics that are employed today in the console wars, they're not new. I mean, we were using them 20 years ago, and so a lot of the times when I see some of the conversation and the push of misinformation, disinformation by console warriors, it's very reminiscent of what happened with 20 years ago. Yeah, Nate, I am reformed, but I would say, Nate, I'm a PC fanboy now, as I should be, because PC is the best gaming platform out there. But my point is, even if you disagree with someone, you could still have a conversation with them. And the one thing that I remember from that conversation with Mooch when we reconnected was like, hey, like Brap, he was like, Brap, we love video games. We may do it on different platforms. We love video games. We should have never gotten to the point where we blocked each other and didn't talk for years. And now, fast forward years later, I'm a regular panel member on a show. And, if you would have thought, if somebody would have said to him or me, like back in 2016, that I was going to be on Crossfire, people would have laughed. He would have laughed. Booch would have. I would have laughed. I'd be like, no way. No way in hell. No chance in hell. Like Vince McMahon. That's not happening. But again, the thing is that we loved video games. We love video games. And Nate, so did you get a new? You said new Alienware ultra wide. Hey, send me a link of the Alienware ultra wide that you have. You're saying Fox is playing on it right now? Because I'm actually thinking about getting a new. I'm actually thinking about getting a new monitor, Nate. I'm not sure if I want to get an ultra wide, but if you could like DM me the link of the ultra wide that you have, that'd be great. I appreciate it. And Mario Hoot says that's what grown adults do. Yeah, that's a great point. And I think the unfortunate part on Twitter is you have a lot of people that are adults that aren't acting like adults. It's just weird. But anyhow, look, and we can have disagreements about video games. That's fair, but it doesn't need to get to the point that I got with me and Mooch all those years ago. And look at us now. And that's the one thing. That's the moral of the story is that, look, at the end of the day, we all love video games. That's the common thread that we have. And I do think there's some people out there that don't love video games and that are only here just to argue. The QLED OLED Alienware was on sale. Oh man, is it still on sale? I might have to make a late Brap holiday gift to myself. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Froggy T, I got myself a nice Curve 1440 monitor for Christmas. So wait, Froggy, so you game on PC, right? If you game on PC, why are you console warring, sir? Why? I don't get it. Yeah, I primarily use my LG C1 OLED, which is in my. I have a room that's dedicated to video games and movies. It's my own man cave, if you will, and I have a 65-inch C1 OLED that my computers that I play my computer games on, or that my computer's hooked up to. And I love it. It's a great look. I mean, it's better than my PC monitor, obviously, because I think I paid like $2,200 at the time for the C1. It's a great TV. Yeah, Nate says, yeah, Brap, exactly. Yeah. Brap, exactly. There are a lot of influencers you can tell don't really love gaming like we do. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I refer to those people as engagement merchants. I don't really love gaming like we do. Uh, Thank you, Priscilla. I made it live, and Nate told me you went live. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Froggy sees Ray. I don't console myself. I just find it funny. Yeah, I just you and I have different tastes in entertainment, sir. I don't find it funny at all. All right, Priscilla says, I love the Alienware monitor. Oh my god, the best monitor I've had. This is like the C1 exactly, but ultra wide and better in that sense. Oh, okay. I love my C1. Okay. I think doesn't a Nate have a C1? I thought a Nate had a like 40, was it a 45, 48 inch C1 they make or they made? RPG says I use a PC monitor for both my consoles. All right, there are some great video games gifts, if you will, that are still available. You can get the PlayStation 5 Spider-Man 2 bundle for $4.99 at Walmart. I saw that yesterday, as a matter of fact. They actually let me pull this up again. Yeah, it's $4.99 on PlayStation. I mean, on PlayStation, on Amazon right now. That's the PlayStation 5 Marvel Spider-Man 2 bundle. So it's 49. It was actually the original list price was $5.59, but now it's down to $4.99. And my local Walmart did have a few more of the Spider-Man 2 bundles I saw in stock. Octopath Traveler 2, by the way, is for the PS5 is $30 right now. Actually, I was thinking about picking that game up, but I just, at this point, with where I'm at with Baldur's Gate 3, it's really hard for me to want to it's really it's really hard for me to think about buying another game. It just really is. I like I just don't know if I'll play these games. That's the problem. Like I just don't know. But I mean, $30 and then be able to kind of throw it in the backlog might not be a bad thing per se. So it looks like Amazon has the best deal right now on Octopath Traveler 2. So that if that's a game that interests you, and you have a PS5, that could be a great gift for yourself. I mean, for someone who has a PS5 that might be interested. It's also right now $40 on the Nintendo Switch. So the on Amazon, at least, Octopath Traveler 2 for the PlayStation 5 is the cheapest version of that game that you can get right now on Amazon. All right, God of War Ragnarok is currently $40 on Amazon. That's a pretty good deal if you haven't played that game. It's also $40 at Walmart. Still $70 at Best Buy, though, which is kind of interesting. Now, if you're looking for a next generation console, you don't have a preference per se. Look, the Xbox Series X, $350 right now at Walmart. It's not a bad deal for that console. $350 for the Xbox Series X at Walmart right now. So again, if you don't care about the platform, you just want to get into, you want to pick up a next generation console with something with a little more horsepower to it, this could actually be a good deal for someone. If I was in the market for a Series X again, I would definitely pull the trigger on the Series X at $350. That's a great deal for that console. All right, let's see here. Look at some other deals here right now. All right. right. The Last of Us Part 1 PS5 version is currently $40 at Walmart. Let's see what else they have here. Nintendo Switch OLED, the Super Smash Brothers edition right now. And 3 months of Nintendo Switch online membership, $350 at Walmart. That's actually not a bad deal. Super Mario World 3D, or Super Mario 3D World, I should say, with Bowser's Fury, is currently $45 at Walmart. Nintendo prices never really go down. If you're looking for a keyboard, the Asus ROG Azoth gaming keyboard is currently $209 at Amazon. That's $40 off. It's also $209 at Best Buy, full retail at Walmart. If you're looking for a gaming laptop, there's a Gigabyte G5 15.6-inch RTX 460 gaming laptop. It's currently $850 at Best Buy. Nate, what do you think about that? Yeah, it's a good deal for that laptop. Frogger T Wright says the Epic Game Store has some nutty deals. Yeah, I was going to go to the Epic Game Store here in just a second. I think Epic is actually, according to WarioWare, let me pull this up again. All right. According to WarioWare, Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition is free on Epic Game Store for the next 24 hours. Fallout 3 is one of my favorite games from Bethesda. It is really, and look, and there's some bias there because Fallout 3 does take place in Washington, D.C. They, to a T, got everything pretty spot on with the layout of Washington, D.C., the metro stations. Metro's our subway system in Washington, D.C. They had the DuPont Circle metro station. And I remember I was working in Washington, D.C. at the time when this game was getting ready to release back in, I think it was 2008, I believe. And I remember seeing the Brotherhood of Steel, which is essentially the Fallout 3 cover art. I remember seeing the cover art for Fallout 3 hanging inside the actual metro stations, which was really cool. See, Froggy T. Ray says, I picked up Hogwarts Legacy for $21 after rebate. You get an extra 33% off the sale price and then 10% cash back. It's actually not a bad deal. I may need to pick up Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah. I know my 4-channel wants to play it, so I may need to pick it up. I don't have any interest in it, but I may need to pick it up for him. Ice Cream Gaming says, Brad, I'm glad Insomniac Games came out yesterday for what they have been through. Yeah, no, that was great that they responded. Yeah, and there have been a few. There are 2 developers at Insomniac that I saw tweet out what's happened, kind of give us a little insight into the feelings behind this ransomware attack, and they're pissed, and rightfully so. One of them was like, "This isn't a leak; it's an attack," and they're absolutely right. This isn't a leak per se; it's a ransomware attack. We talked about it on Crossfire, and I said, we have a lot of the firm that I work for. We have training on a regular basis with regards to not opening emails that seem suspicious, because that's how some of these ransomware attacks happen. It's a matter of just someone opening an email and then boom, you've given the hackers access now. Hey, Dan, welcome to BRAP. Happy that you're here. And they says Hogwarts Legacy was fire. Froggy says, I can't believe mismanagement is going to let 75 employees. I mean, look, that's not mismanagement, Froggy. That is that is just a dynamic of current economic conditions in the gaming industry. That has nothing to do with mismanagement. Mismanagement would be if they were consistent layoffs over and over and over and over again, and the layoffs were a result of issues that had not been addressed. Oh, you can't believe management. I'm sorry, I read that incorrectly. Let me put my glasses on. I don't have my glasses on right now. Oh, you say I can't believe management is going to let 75. Yeah, that's look, I mean, layoffs suck. I don't disagree with you, Froggy. Layoffs suck. You know, but I'm sure there's probably individuals in management that don't want to let people go. But that's just the reality of the situation, unfortunately. Yeah, we talked about this on Crossfire last night. They, you know, like the firm I work for, we had a profitable 2022. Profitable. Our fiscal year just started in October. So I'm sorry, we had a profitable 2023. Our 2024 fiscal year just started end of October. But even then, despite some of the profitability, there were certain business units internally that were down, and there was some restructuring as a result. You know, and there was constraints. There were impacts to our profit margins at the firm I work for, and so those led to a lot of mismanagement, a lot of layoffs, and also, but what's happened and what you may see happen too sometimes. You think about the 75 people that may be laid off. Sometimes what ends up happening, and I'm not saying this is going to definitively be the case at Insomniac, but sometimes what happens, you see those layoffs that happen. Sometimes, often, especially when you have, because we know what the production pipeline or what their project pipeline looks like for the next 10 years, you know, those games are going to require additional headcount. If you look at the release cadence for some of those games, they're pretty close to one another. Those they are going to need staff. And it could be a situation too now where, as they're looking to cut costs, which includes, you know, the salaries, benefits of employees, they may either replace those individuals with contract workers on a temporary basis, project on a project related need, or there could be a retooling of skill sets where, because of certain projects they're working on, they may require new skill sets that the individuals who are being impacted by these layoffs just don't have, and so now they're laying off those individuals to make room for individuals who may have a desirable skill set because they're changing the way they develop, or they may be changed to the way the business is done. Like we're seeing that right now at my firm, where, you know, we laid off a lot of SQL database managers because we're moving away from on-prem stuff. Like, just, you know, and some of these people have been with the firm for 15, 20, 25 years. We're letting go of those people, but we're replacing them with people who have a different skill set. So, but yeah, no, I I think, to your point, Frank, like when you're looking at it from the outside and just looking at it at, at a high level, and you see the success that Insomniac has, I could see why one would be surprised or would arrive to that kind of the idea that, or the conclusion that, well, I can't believe management is doing this, considering that they've made a lot of money. But it's never that simple. There's always other factors that impact why companies decide to have layoffs, you know, in spite of, you know, having some success. You know, it's costs, staffing needs, redundancy of positions, those kinds of things factor in. Yeah, Froggy, the beat counters are ruthless. The beat counters are ruthless. Like again, I don't know. I don't think we know if those layoffs are happening at Insomniac right before the holidays. but they could be. I mean, and it's yeah, it sucks for those people, especially before the holidays. I mean, these, we went through this exercise at my firm back in August, and it was stressful. It was stressful. We laid off about 5% of our 5% of our workforce. And to give you an idea, the average turnover, what's considered like normal within an organization, is anywhere between 2 to 3% on yearly turnover. So when you get outside that 3% turnover, then there's it's either a result of layoffs or there's just high churn. But we laid off about 5% of our workforce, and it was tough. I mean, some of these folks who were impacted by the layoffs that we had been with the organization for 10, 15 years. They were senior manager level candidates, or not candidates, employees that were impacted by this. JCCT. So this is an interesting point, JC, and this is one of the things that I didn't see brought up with the ransomware attack. Is there confirmation now that this is going to happen, or that it hasn't already happened? We don't know if it's happened already. I think I'm based on the information I've seen, I don't think it has. I feel like we would have heard something that would have been corroborated by media, maybe, had the layoffs happen. We also don't know, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not aware, maybe someone in the live chat, if you have this information. I'm not sure we actually have a specific date on when these things were discussed, and that would obviously give us a lot of insight into the time frame. But one of the things that wasn't brought up is that, like, when did these conversations happen? Were they last year? Were they this year? And Frog is saying what I heard is employees were not notified that it would be happening in the new year, or that it would be happening in the new year. Yeah, maybe in the new year. I mean, that's a possibility. And it could be, sometimes those layoffs happen like right before right at the end of a fiscal quarter. I think PlayStation's Q4 ends in March of 2024. So I think they're in Q3 right now. So maybe it happens at maybe it happens at the start of next quarter then. Yeah, I think Sony, let me look up Sony's fiscal year. I want to say March, end of March is their is the end of their fiscal year. Yeah, it looks like end of March, because their Q1 earnings release will come out July of 2024. Q3 earnings will come out February 14th of 2024. All right. Yeah, the other thing with the studio shutdown, I mean, I wonder if that was Media Molecule. If that was yeah, maybe January, Froggy. I mean, that's because that would be the start of their Q4. February, I mean, it would be January, February, March, the end of March, and then we would get the Q4 numbers in April. Yeah, but that's the other thing, JC, is that we don't know if this is a new studio that they're going to close, or if this was Media Molecule that was, if it was actually Media Molecule that was being discussed in those in the ransomware attack. We don't know. Nate says I hate a sequel, and I'm currently training for cloud-based systems. That's what I work for. That's what I worked on. That's what I've worked on now, Azure. So I'm good with that. Yeah, and that's where we're moving. We're moving off-prem, and we're migrating a lot of stuff to Azure right now, Nate. So that's eliminated a lot of those positions that we had, those SQL database managers. We don't need them. We don't need them, and so like when these shifts happen, these pivots, um, that's when we see these. That's what I was saying with those shifts um, in the direction a company's going. Sometimes it leads to positions being eliminated, but newer positions being on board to help with that transition or that pivot. Do you think PlayStation is going to use more contracted workers to get production costs down? Maybe. That could very well be. That could be. They could very well do that. I mean, we see that in other technology sectors where contractors are brought in. I mean, I know that when we are doing a lot of heavy lifting on the technology side of our business, we are utilizing a lot of contractors. And not just the technology side. I think in general, when we are going through a busy season, we will use contractors quite a bit. And I don't know if I mentioned this on Crossfire yesterday, but one of the things that B Money's talked about here on BRAP is if you look at what Sony's doing in India and kind of these incubation projects, if you will, they may be looking at tapping into overseas markets where the labor market's cheaper. I mean, we've seen other industries do this. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we move a lot of our. We have technology groups in India that do some of the lifting for us, and we do that because it's just at scale. It's just cheaper for us to do it there, and the talent's there, and it's cheaper than hiring for it here in the U.S. So that could be one part, Froggy. It could be the contractor piece, and it could be that maybe that you start seeing him utilizing some offshore talent to help offset those costs. Critical Smoker says Sony's in serious trouble. Critical Smoker, you need to stop smoking. And this is where I get frustrated with this conversation, because if you look at the financials, you look at the health of the business, they're not in trouble. I don't think, and I said this on Crossfire. I mean, did we say that the technology sector, the big five in tech, who laid off 10,000 people this year, did we say they're in trouble? I mean, Apple's the only one that didn't have mass layoffs. Did we say that Google's in trouble because Stadia shut down? Yeah, Froggy, you're right. Their issues with profit margin have to do with the downward economic impacts of inflation. The yen is getting The yen is getting beat up pretty bad, and the American dollar is strong right now. And I don't know. And this is the other thing too. This is why we have David Falke on, because Falke can discuss some of the. Falke is a financial analyst, and can provide a lot of insight. Actually, I was trying to get Falke on because I knew this might come up. Let's see if I can get Falke on real quick. I'm trying to see if he can get on here. But there's some inflationary dynamics that are impacting the cost of doing business. Borrowing money's not cheap these days too. But really, I think it's the inflationary dynamics of the yen. And I think last time I checked, I got to see what the value of the dollar is. I know the dollar was worth more than the euro at one point. But outside of their the pressure of their the tightening of their profit margins, they are growing, and that's the other encouraging side. That's why when I see people say Sony's in serious trouble, I'm like, well, the numbers say otherwise. Like I don't know why people are saying that. I mean, it's not uncommon for industries or organizations, companies to have um, um, companies to experience the pressures on profit margins. I mean, every company that I work for, well, not every company, but there've been quite a few companies I've worked for throughout my career where this has happened. We've seen this happen. Yeah, True Q Gaming. I mean, you said it best here. All these individuals are pundits. Many of them don't bother. And look, you don't have to be an economist to understand how the inflationary dynamics can impact profit margins in an organization. Or how supply chain can impact that. Like you have to spend more well, that would be an inflationary dynamic as well as a result. Like if there's supply constraints and you have to spend more to get access to materials to build goods, that's going to increase your costs to do business. It's going to impact your profit margins. I mean, you don't have to be an economist to understand that. You could just, I mean, there are a lot of economists that are online. There's a lot of information that you can use to read to get an idea of how these things work. And nobody does this. This is what is maddening to me. We have this thing called the internet. You have to be careful of the internet too, but there's an abundance of information out there, good information, if you take the time to research it. And what's frustrating is that the guys that you mentioned, like Kid Smooth, Gaming Addict, and Boomstick, they don't do that for whatever reason. A lot of it's emotion, a lot of it's not really based on any tangible evidence. I think somebody on Boomstick show the other day said something to the effect that when he thinks of Sony, he thinks of BlackBerry, and it's like, what? It's not even like that's not even an apples to apples business case. Like the whole BlackBerry thing, the dynamic of what caused the downfall of BlackBerry had to do with the mass market adoption of the iPhone. And there's no mass adoption of Game Pass that's happening right now by the consumer market. Again, that's not a slight of Game Pass. It's just based on the numbers. Well, we don't even know the numbers. Microsoft doesn't report them. But if there was this mass migration adoption of Game Pass, Microsoft would be talking about it a lot. They'd be talking about it a lot. But there isn't. And there isn't by the industry either. Sure, I mean the publishers do have their own subscription services, but no one has the exact carbon copy of Game Pass. And the biggest differentiation would be the day and date stuff, the first party. And the other thing to remember too is when you look at the BlackBerry scenario, and this is what really was a head scratcher, and the issue I had with people start making these comments and try to get the business cases wrong. Is that the impact of the iPhone to the market was you saw the market react in a way that they started making carbon copies of the iPhone, which led to Steve Jobs saying we're going to go thermonuclear, and the lawsuit where they sued Android or Samsung, I think it was. Even sooner with the form factor of the phone. But you're not seeing that mass, you're not seeing the industry shift in a way that leads you to believe that there's this mass adoption of Game Pass. And that's why I have issues with the BlackBerry comparison. And if you're and the obvious why those things are different is if you go back and you listen to the CEO's leadership at BlackBerry at the time, they literally had their head stuck in the sand. In the ransomware attack, and what we've read in terms of Sony's concerns about their pillars and kind of where they are, that there's no head in the sand there. There's no, oh, we're okay, we don't need to pivot, our business is fine. There wasn't any of that, and that was very much the rhetoric coming out of Blackbeard at the time. So when I hear these things on these shows, it's like a face palm moment. Like, why are people who don't have all the information making these kind of comments? Why are they doing that? I mean, like, use the internet. The information's out there. Use it. And all it does is just serve to drive misinformation, disinformation. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And both sides do this, by the way. The PlayStation fanboys do this. The Xbox fanboys do this, where they're so keen on saying, oh, the business, they're in trouble, they're going to be gone. It's just ridiculous. No, Froggy T Ray. It's not that I get wound up. I just don't care for misinformation, disinformation, and I feel like he's a 53-year-old adult. Like, he should know better. There's no excuse for that. Like do the research, do your homework. Like, don't purposely mislead your viewers. And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of engagement merchants. They benefit off of misleading their listeners, and they make money off it. They profit off it. They are profiting off of misinformation, disinformation. That's not what we do here. And what we try to do is we try to, on this show, provide an alternative to that. Because that doesn't do anything. There's nothing positive that comes out of that, in my opinion, other than it leading to misinformation, disinformation, and creating these false narratives that aren't based on anything, on any sense of reality. Now, to your point, Froggy T, right? I don't disagree. If they can get one or two gas to hit, yeah, that would probably ease maybe some concerns. And I think that is something that, when you think about the ransomware attack, and you think about the information that came out of that, you think about what Jim Ryan has said, and Sean Layden. I mean, like, it's interesting. I saw people saying, oh, they're trying to pivot to all these other devices outside the walled garden of PlayStation. I'm like, yeah, they've been doing that for years now, though. There's a E3 picture that I've been seeing out with Andrew House at E3, and behind him you see Sony, where there's like a TV, and there's some other things there, some other like images that are symbolic of other platforms where they're trying to extend their reach. And this is on the PlayStation 4 generation. And if you think about even them, like with them buying Gaikai, dipping their toes in cloud streaming, having the first console subscription service, and PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now streaming. If you look at one point, I think they do it now with the Bravia TVs again. I'd have to look. The Bravia TVs used to have the PlayStation Now app. And I think they may have it again now, but I have to double check. If you look at, they used to have the PlayStation TV service. So they are looking at, and have been for quite some time, well over, a decade now, looking at other revenue streams, because they, like other publishers in the industry, have recognized that, you can't solely live off of AAA games, because those games require a lot of resources and time, and could take 5 to 7 years to develop. Rockstar wouldn't be able to wait 10 years. It's going to be longer than 10 years, but 10 to 12 years to release the next Grand Theft Auto, if they didn't have the GTA Online reoccurring revenue stream that's made them billions of dollars. They wouldn't be able to do those things. Or would it be able to, wait, 10, 12 years to release the next Grand Theft Auto 6? So I don't disagree, Froggy. Like, if they can, and I don't even think they need to have something as big as like a Fortnite or a Warzone, but even if they had something like a Sea of Thieves or a Grounded, I think they would be happy with that. Now they do get the revenue from the Bungie stuff, but I think but clearly they want to get games that are going to give them more of a reoccurring revenue stream. And all those things are going to help with the development of AAA and also what came out of the we talked about this on Crossfire yesterday. What came out of the ransomware attack was the fact they may look at like smaller titles as stopgaps between those big AAA releases. Froggy says, I'm surprised how much a PlayStation Portal popped off. I thought it would be a big flop. No, I'm not surprised, Froggy. Look, I've recognized that it wasn't for me, but I didn't think it was going to be a flop because one of the things that I'm seeing with the PlayStation ecosystem, and I've said this on this show and I said it on Crossfire last night, I do believe PlayStation is more of an Apple-S type and having more of an Apple-S type approach. And you look what happens with Apple and how people in the Apple ecosystem kind of consume anything Apple releases. I'm starting to think the same thing is happening with PlayStation. And those things are sold out now. Sam Walton said they just started to back up. Sam, are you saying yeah, we had are you saying that PlayStation has is it like PlayStation Plus on their Bravia TVs again? Like what do they have? Is it like an app now? Zim also says a lot of people are wanting the PlayStation Portal. Yeah, Forte had mentioned that. A lot of people have been coming into his store. I should say a lot. He did mention that people have been coming in asking for it. I can't find it anywhere. Oh, okay. Sam's saying the remote play is on their latest Bravia TVs. And so, one thing I want to mention too, and this is something that comes up or that came about at the ransomware attack and what the information that was released as a result of that attack. Where people are saying that, that PlayStation is that they're going to go third party because they're going to have content on other applications. There's a big difference that people have kind of skated by, a big differentiator that people have missed in those documents. And one of the things they talk about is that they don't believe it's a good strategy per se to, or at least they're not trying to create a unification amongst the different platforms for the same content. And that's a big key differentiator from what they're doing and what Microsoft's doing. And that's important. I didn't see a lot of people talking about that. And I'm not saying that Microsoft's approach is wrong or that it's the best. I'm just saying that they're different. I know someone's like, "Hey, you're just hating on Xbox." No, I'm just saying they're different. And it is important to recognize those differences. Also, remember, Sony's a hardware company. Sony is a hardware company, so their strategy is going to be a little bit different. And look, you're always going to need software to run or hardware to run software. And that's why I say, like, I look at Apple, what Apple does, and I think Sony's behavior is very analogous to what Apple is and what they do with their products. But I do think that's a difference that I didn't see a lot of people talking about with the difference in strategies in terms of branching out into branching out to other platforms to generate these different revenue streams. There's a difference when you create content specific for those platforms as opposed to taking your content and creating this unified experience for your content on a variety of different platforms. And I forget the verbiage that Sony used. Let me see if I can find this. Let's see here. Because this was kind of interesting that when I read this. Yeah, see, I'm not. You see here, I can't find it right now. I'll have to pull this. I'll have to pull up the article again. Let me see if I. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can. All right, here's what came out of, and this is again, this is what a lot of I didn't see a lot of people discussing. Um, but as what Sony had said is a unified console, PC, and mobile experience doesn't exist due to the diversity in form factor and compute power and computer power. Sony's central approach, it said, remains the premium sales model. So they're not looking to do this unified, create this unified platform experience for the exact same content across the board. It's very different than what Microsoft do. Again, I'm not saying that what Microsoft doing is bad or better. I'm just saying it's different, and it may work well for Microsoft to do that. Just like it may work well for Sony to create content that's specific for each of those different platforms because of the things they cited, the diversity and the form factor compute power of those different devices. Nate says, Brap, I'm going to put this up here. Brap, you know how people's reading comprehension works. They read it as it pertains to the narrative they want to tell instead of what you just said. We came to the same conclusion. Yeah, no, I think people do unfortunately do that on both sides of the console war, unfortunately. Yeah, Froggy says, I'm glad these companies are trying different approaches. Yeah, that's actually, and Froggy, this is a rare day, by the way. I might go play the lottery, where I agree with some of the things you say. but that's actually a great comment, Froggy. That, yeah, I'll say this. In some ways, I'm glad that I am glad that companies are trying different approaches. I agree in that regard. But what concerns me though is that we have Sony, PlayStation as the only hardware manufacturer providing these, what I call, that are creating. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying we don't know what Microsoft's Xbox is going to look like, but based on what the Microsoft hardware team had recommended to Phil Spencer in terms of what the next Xbox should look like, which was leaked as during the hearing. I don't know, and I'm not saying this is going to be the case. I'm not so sure we're going to get a high end ultra power Xbox next generation. Maybe we will. I'm just not so sure, just based on some of the things I've heard Phil Spencer say and the leaked documentation. Although it does, based on these more recent leaks, it looks like that may be the case. But wherever the case is, I don't. What concerns me, I don't want to see PlayStation being the only manufacturer out there that is creating high end hardware in console gaming, because then there's no competition. And then what's the incentive for PlayStation at that point to innovate, to kind of have their foot on the gas pedal to release content? That's my concern. But again, to your point, I do like that that their companies are trying different approaches. I think that's Nintendo's doing something different. Sony, presumably Microsoft. I just don't want to see Sony being the only high-end console manufacturer. I don't think that's good for consumers to have that only choice. The more choices for consumers, the better. That's why I've spoken out against consolidation. Mass consolidation, and not just gaming, but other industry, because the less suppliers you have in the marketplace, the less choices consumers have. And consolidation really hasn't, worked in the benefit of consumers. Samuel says, I've noticed Sony and Apple get real close with each other over the past year or so. I wonder what the end goal is between the two. What do you mean by like close? Like, what have they been doing? I can't think of anything that they've been doing. Nothing comes to mind, at least, Sam. Yeah, look at Apple. They're working to have AAA games run natively on their phones. Yeah, they are. I mean, that iPhone, 15? That thing's a beast. But then you talk about the form factor of playing on a device like that. Like, is that where people want to play? I'm not saying no people. I'm not going to say that there are zero people in the market that will want to play on their phone. They are, but I just don't know how. I just don't think a lot of people. That's how a lot of people want to play those big AAA games. Hey, Nate, how long have you been gaming for? I don't think I've ever asked you that. Do you think Apple could get into gaming and game development? Maybe. Do they want to? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, look, they're making a lot of money. You look at like the top publishers, Apple's right up there. They're making a lot of money for a very easy lift for them. They're not taking on the risk of having first party studios. So maybe not. They might not want to do that. Considering where they are without assuming that additional risk. All right. I do want to move on to, we talked about the some holiday gifts here. There is an Alienware Aurora R15 RTX 4070 gaming PC on sale at Dell for $1,800. The PC typically retails for $2,300. What do you think about that, Nate? What do you think about that price point for that Alienware Aurora R15 RTX 4070 gaming PC? It comes with an AMD Ryzen 9 7900 processor, 512 gig SSD. Oh, only 16 gigabytes of RAM? Oh, that's not good. You got to have at least 32. Yeah, I don't know about that price point. Got a nice case, though. It's a nice looking PC. Oh, you know what? I meant to go to, because I know Froggy was talking about Epic. Let me go to Steam. Look at the Steam winter sale right now. It just started 2 days ago. The Steam winter sale runs from December 21st through January 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The first things that just popped up on my screen here on my computer, Elder Scrolls Skyrim Special Edition. It's funny. People always complain about the remakes, remasters. That game has been remade, remastered up to wazoo. But there's a reason why the publishers do this, because there's demand for that. No, you says a good base price in a. Yeah, I would upgrade the RAM right away. I have 32 gigs of RAM on my computer. I would upgrade that right away. And you're right, that's kind of an easy upgrade, if you will. All right, so Destiny 2 Lightfall is 60% off at $20 on Steam. Skyrim, actually, I might get the special edition of Skyrim now. It's $8, 80% off. It's 80% off. And on my computer, I'm sure it's going to run beautiful. I may pick up Skyrim. I may have to do that at $8. That's kind of it's hard to pass up that deal. It's a great game. Jedi Survivor is $35 on Steam. It's half off. So those are the big ones that come to mind. Halo, the Master Chief Collection is $10. And by the way, I'm reading what's on the winter sale that's come up on the main page here. So maybe if there's other games that I'm not seeing, let me know. Outer Wilds is Outer Wilds is $15. A Sea of Thieves 2023 edition is 50% off at $20. Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the Steam winter sale is 75% off at $15. I couldn't get into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Just couldn't do it. Gotham Knights. Oh, I might have to pick this up on PC. It's 85% off on Steam right now. It's for $9. Deep Rock Galactica is 67% off at $9.89. If you're interested in Planet Zoo, that's 75% off at $11.24. I can't even talk. Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is 75% off. Okay, I'm definitely picking that up. That's $12 for that game. Metro Exodus is 80% off. That great game, by the way. $6. Far Cry 6 is 75% off at $15. RoboCop 30% off at $35. I got to pick that up too. These Steam sales, the winter sales are dangerous, by the way. Solasta Crown of the Magister is 70% off at $8.99. Spider-Man Miles Morales is 40% off at $30. And Mass Effect Legendary Edition, $6. It's 90% off. Oh my goodness. If you're interested in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, this might be a great time to pick it up on PC for $6. Dead Space right now is 60% off at $23. Returnal. Has anyone played, maybe this is a question for you, Nate. Have you played Returnal on PC? Gaming Forte. How are you, Forte? I need to call you later. Wish you and your family a happy holiday, sir. Forte's a handsome looking. Look at him. He's a handsome young gentleman. Gaming Forte, the Fallout chat says, that's the most clickbait title I've ever seen. Great job, Brad. Absolutely is clickbait. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I put it out there. Yeah, this seems more like a discussion than a rant. Great show as always. Thank you, Forte. I appreciate that. By the way, if you haven't checked out DPS Podcast, you need to. Forte and Slim always have a great weekly show. Forte says Destiny should be free at this point. I don't disagree. Yeah, I did not finish, Nate. I did not finish Returnal on PlayStation 5. But my goodness, man, I have been thinking about picking it up on PC. I just don't know if I want to start all over again. But let's see. Let me go back to the Steam sale here. But man, $40? I mean, for that game, Guardians of the Galaxy is 75% off at $15. If you haven't played Guardians of the Galaxy, it's a really good game. Really good game. Evil West is 60% off at $20. Callisto Protocol is 70% off. I haven't played Callisto Protocol. I did play the Dead Space remake, and I really enjoyed that. But the Callisto Protocol is developed by the creators of Dead Space, developers behind the original Dead Space. Doom Eternal is actually $10. That's actually a really good game. Great soundtrack too, by the way. Doom Eternal is $10 at 75% off. Outer Worlds is $20, 34% off. Dragon Age Inquisition, Slomo, if you're listening, Game of the Year edition is $8 on Steam right now. It's 80% off. Forspoken is $30. It's interesting. I've heard people that who have played Forspoken say they really like it. Oh, that's right, Frog. Don't forget, Epic is giving away a free game every day. Today's game is Fallout 3. I got to pull up the Epic store. Let's see here. Mafia Definitive Edition is $10, 75% off. Elite Dangerous is $6 at 80% off. Dishonored 2. By the way, Dishonored 2 is a really good game. If you haven't played it, highly recommend it. That's $3. Oh man, I'm gonna have to pick that up for PC. Well, actually, no, I have it. Oh no, actually, my Game Pass subscription ran out. I don't have Game Pass anymore. I was gonna say I could just download from Game Pass, but I don't have Game Pass anymore. So those are some of the bigger titles that I'm seeing here. Baldur's Gate 3, by the way, is 10% off at $53.99. Cyberpunk is $30 at 50% off. So Elden Ring is currently 40% off at $35. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty is 15% off at $25.49. And actually, Red Dead Redemption 2 is 67% off at $19.79. So those are some of the bigger titles that I'm seeing right now that are part of the Steam winter sale. So some really good deals here. I'm pulling up the Epic store here, see what they have. All right. I see the Epic coupon, 33% off. I think that's what Froggy T. Wright had mentioned earlier in the live chat. This sale goes from now through, let's see here. Wait a minute. Yeah, the sale goes through January the 10th, so it's going to be a little bit longer, a week longer than the Steam winter sale. Let's look at what they have here. Ooh, Alan Wake 2 is 20% off at $40. Huh. Ho ho. Ha ha. I might have to pick up Alan Wake 2. And then you get the 33% off Epic coupon. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to grab Alan Wake 2. That's too good of a deal to pass up. Dead Island 2 is 40% off at $35.99. Hogwarts Legacy, which is what Froggy T. Wright he said in the live chat, paid $21. Froggy T. Wright says that makes Alan Wake 2 $24. Yeah, I'm pulling the trigger on Alan Wake 2. That's too good of a deal to pass up. But I think Froggy had mentioned earlier that he paid $21 for Hogwarts Legacy. And that is on sale right now for $35.99, 40% off on Epic. But then you have the 33% off, and then you have that Epic rewards that you can get as well. You can stack that. Red Dead Redemption is 67% off at $19.79. Grand Theft Auto 5 is half off at $15. That is the premium edition. Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 remix is $20, 20% off. Kingdom Hearts 3 and Remind DLC is 60% off at $23.99. The free game today is Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition. Great game, by the way. Really great game. If you haven't played it, you're on PC. I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite Bethesda games. Marvel's Spider-Man Remaster is 40% off in the Epic Store at $35.99. Last of Us Part 1 for PC is 33% off at $40.19. Dead Space is $23.99. I think it's cheaper on the Steam Store. Look at Dead Space here. Oh, no, it's the same price on the Steam Store. Same price. RoboCop is $44.99. I think that is cheaper on the Steam Store. Let me look at that now. Oh, Sea of Thieves, by the way, is $27.99. It's 20% off on the Steam Store. And I talked about Baldur's Gate 3 earlier today. Divinity Original Sin 2, which is Larian's previous game, is $13.49. I'm going to pick that up. Oh, man. I tell you, these sales are so good. So many great games on sale. Oh, yeah. RoboCop's the same price on the Steam Store. Oh, no. Actually, Steam's... if you're looking at getting RoboCop, don't get it on the Epic Store. It's actually $10 cheaper on the Steam Store. It's $34 on Steam. It's $44 on Epic. Well, but then you apply the 30 whatever. You can apply that discount code, that 33% off. So it would be cheaper. Technically, be the Epic coupon would be cheaper. I think. Think it would be cheaper. All right. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is 33% off on the Epic Game Store, $40.19. Again, you can apply that 33% Epic coupon as well. So those are some of the sales on the Epic Store and on the Steam Winter Sale. So a lot of good deals to be had out there. All right, so I do want to talk about the year. I want to talk about 2024. Let me grab this super chat here. Craig, the tech guy at the $2 super chat, says, "Happy holidays to you, Brap, and your family." Craig, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Good sir, happy holidays to you and your family as well. So this is kind of subjective. We talk about who's going to have the better 2024 Xbox or PlayStation, and I've seen a lot of people read off the list wars. I think from a consumer perspective, who has a better 2024 is really going to depend on which platform you prefer playing video games on and what games you're looking forward to. I think that we need to remember that. Me, there are a couple games that I'm looking at that I'm looking forward to. And please let me know in the live chat if you only play on a specific platform. Let me know what games you're looking forward to playing on that platform. By the way, it doesn't have to be first party. I mean, there's a lot of great third party content that could be coming out that may be coming out next year as well. If there's some third party games that you're looking forward to playing on the platform of your choice, definitely mention those. But there are some games that are coming out in 2024 that I'm looking forward to. I could tell you right now, early 2024, I'm certainly looking forward to playing Rise of the Ronin and Final Fantasy Rebirth. Those would be the two that I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to Hellblade 2. I know that we have they've penciled in 2024 as the release year, but we don't have we just don't have a firm release date just yet. But those would be from an exclusive standpoint, the games that I'm looking forward to. I know there's some chatter out there that maybe we get an Avowed. That would be great if we got Obsidian's next release or next game Avowed in 2024. But those would be the games, at least from an exclusive perspective, that would come to mind. Let's see here. There's some other games that are coming out in 2024. Let me see. I just had that list up here. Oh, Prince of Persia is actually coming out next month. I'm actually looking forward to that. The Lost Crown, that comes out January 18th. Tekken 8, I'm not interested in Tekken 8, but I know a lot of people are excited for it. That's another big release in January. Like a Dragon, I'm interested. I don't know if I'll pick it up. I think it just depends on Baldur's Gate 3. I'm playing that second playthrough. That also comes out. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink comes out. That's exclusive for PlayStation 5, PS4. That's coming out next month. Persona 3 Reload is releasing on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and PC February the 2nd. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's actually on Game Pass as well. Helldivers 2 is another exclusive. I'm not sure about Helldivers 2. That's something I'll play. Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out in March. So there's at least there's 3 games for me that I'm definitely going to get. Rise of the Ronin, Final Fantasy Rebirth, and Dragon's Dogma. Those are the 3 games that I'll be looking at the first half of March. August, I'm looking forward to Black Myth Wukong. It's nice that we have a release date for that. So those are, honestly, those are really the games that I'm looking forward to right now in 2024. And obviously that list can change, as we get more release dates, things like that. Yeah, Froggy mentioned Nintendo will have the best. They release a new platform. That's the other thing. It's going to be interesting. There are rumors that we may get the next iteration of the Switch. Maybe they call it the Switch 2. I don't know. That could come in the latter part of next year. Oh yeah, Nate, I forgot about Stalker 2 on PC. I know it's coming to Xbox too, but that's definitely something I'm looking forward to playing on PC. Yeah, I'm trying to think from an exclusives perspective, who's going to have more exclusive. Let's see here. I think right now, from an exclusive standpoint, I mean, I think PlayStation has those two exclusives that I'm really looking forward to, and Rise of the Ronin and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And for Xbox, the one exclusive that I'd be looking forward to is, and I don't know if I'm going to re up my, I don't know if I'm going to subscribe to Game Pass again. So I may just end up buying Hellblade 2 outright, but Hellblade 2 will be the other exclusive that I'm looking forward to. So really only 3 exclusive games I'm looking forward to, and the rest would be third-party games for next year for me. Now, who will have the better 2024 in terms of market demand? I still think it's going to be PlayStation or consumer demand, hardware sales. I still think it's going to be PlayStation. I just don't see. I don't see the momentum. I'm sure there'll be some drop off, but I just don't. They just hit 50 million PlayStation sold, and think about this for a second. Like they did that in the midst of the pandemic and impacts of the supply chain, and they're trekking a week behind PlayStation 4 at this point in the life cycle. So 50 million sold. I just don't see. I don't see that momentum stopping. I fully expect, from a hardware sales standpoint, growth standpoint, for well, I'll say hardware standpoint. I think from a revenue standpoint, Xbox should probably 2024, probably from a publishing perspective, eclipse PlayStation because of the acquisition of ABK. But I do think from a hardware standpoint, in terms of growth, I think they're just going to continue what we're seeing. Maybe not that 60% year over year growth that we've been seeing, or in some instances, like in the UK, where it was like 100%. We may not see that level of growth, but I think we're going to see still year over year gains with PlayStation 5. And I do still think that the PlayStation 5 is going to be the most sought after and purchased video game console in the market for 2024. I just don't see, I don't see that changing. Barring any kind of disaster, I don't see that changing. Froggy T, right? Brad, do you think Series X will go back to full price? Yeah, you know what? I would imagine so. I would imagine so. But if they keep it at 350, Froggy, to me it's like that is to me that says we need to move more hardware units. That's why it's so trivial to me when people say, Xbox doesn't care about hardware sales. I'm like, no, they do, because they're spending money on manufacturing hardware. And they're pricing the Series X at a very competitive price point to try to move units. I mean, if they didn't really care, would they do that? I don't think they would. 400 to 450. Well, I don't even think this, and I haven't corroborated this, but I've seen some people say even at $499 they're losing money on the Series X, like $100. Again, I'm not saying that's true. That's what I've seen. That needs to be corroborated, and that's something I probably need to look up, or something I should look up to get confirmation on. But look, I mean, I look, if Microsoft's okay with losing more money on hardware unit sales to boost potential Game Pass subscribers, then maybe they do that. Because I've always said this: a new series console sold is potentially a new Game Pass customer, because they do include, what I call like a trial for Game Pass for like a month or whatever it is, or 2 weeks, or I forget the time period. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, they can afford to break even. I guess it's just a matter of, how is there is the break even is breaking even on Xbox going to drive revenue elsewhere that makes that break even point make sense for them? That's the question that I would have. But I tell you what, I think if they keep the price at 350, I would imagine we would see a boost in sales. I mean, 350 is a great price point for that console. I don't think that the 350 Series X is going to chip away at the PlayStation 5 market share. But I do think it would help move more units, because if we look at the numbers for the series consoles, I mean, they had negative growth. Per the Financial Times, Sony PlayStation 5 console sales were up 65% to 22.5 million units this year. In comparison, annual Xbox Series X and X sales declined by 15% to 76.9 million. Nintendo sales fell 18% to 16.4. But you got to remember, Nintendo Switch released 6 years ago. It's at that point in the console life cycle where they've sold so many now that they're going to naturally start seeing the declines. So again, I mean, like, if you see that number, that decline of 15%, the question then becomes, well, what do you do? What do you do to try to spark consumer interest, to get consumers to buy your hardware? And I think the easiest way to do that is by what you're seeing with that $350 price point. Again, if you're like I said earlier, if you're in the market, you don't care about exclusivity, the PlayStation stuff. You're okay with not being in the PlayStation ecosystem. $350 for an Xbox Series X is a great deal. Apex says, but Microsoft is a software company, not a hardware. So why not get those extra subs from put on other existing platforms? It's best to do what you're good at. Then Apex, why waste money making consoles then? They should just get out of the hardware business. Yeah, and Nate, I don't disagree with you. And Nate says $350 is an insanely great price point. I guess for me, the one hey, what's up, Super? I think the one thing for me that really kind of surprised me 2023, it really surprised me this console generation. I fully expected Xbox to be much more competitive in the hardware space than what they've been. I mean, I thought they had a great game plan laid out in front of us, starting in 2017 with the introduction of Game Pass and putting their games, their first party games day and date. I thought they had a great value proposition and Game Pass and in the Series S. And what we've seen is the market just basically say, no, we don't want Xbox. If you don't believe me, I mean, just look at the numbers I just read off. Xbox Series X and S sales are down 15%. They've declined, and we're talking about negative, and you can pull the numbers. We're talking about the numbers here. They've had 4 straight quarters of negative growth in hardware. And that just surprises me, because again, I thought I fully expected Microsoft to give Sony a run for their money this generation because of that tremendous value proposition in Game Pass and having those two SKUs with the Series S. But we're seeing the market react in a totally different way. The market's saying, no, we want PlayStation 5. We want that more than we want Xbox. And that's why I always say what people say on Twitter is in contrast to how the market has responded to both platforms and the demand for those two consoles. Happy Christmas to you. Super appreciate that, sir. And to your family as well. Well, yeah, I Chrono, I think part of it is the lack of first party. I think that's the thing. They have it, they and that's a great point, Chrono. They haven't had something that has really moved the needle and has like they haven't had a game that's really put butts in seats. And if you don't believe me, again, look at the hardware growth. I mean, we don't know. We know that Matt Piscatella per Circana MPD said there was that basically subscription growth, and not just on Xbox, by the way, that subscription growth on consoles has stalled. So things like Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, that growth has stalled. We know that where there has been growth for Game Pass, it's been on PC. And I'm just surprised because of the value proposition there and the cheaper SKU into next generation hardware. I didn't see this coming. And again, I think to your point, Chrono, it's just because they haven't had a game or games that put butts in seats where it's like, I need to have an Xbox. I need to play this game. I need to have, I need to have this. I need an Xbox. I need to play this. I mean, that was the impact of Halo on the original Xbox. That was the impact of, Gears of War to an extent. And not just they need like a AAA game that's going to be in the zeitgeist of the conversation. You look at Starfield. I mean, while Starfield I thought did well from a sales standpoint, it didn't move the needle really for Game Pass subscriptions. I mean, there was some increase. I should say it didn't move the needle per se, but there was some impact, some negative, some positive impact uptick. We know that because, he mentioned that. We know that Sacha mentioned that there was some, that they saw their largest gains in terms of Game Pass subscribers because of Starfield. We don't know what that number is, though. I mean, that number could be 100 new subscribers or 1,000. We don't know. In my opinion, I lean to the idea that if it was really if it was a large, significant number, that Sacha would have been talking about it. But because he didn't, it leads me to believe that maybe it wasn't as big as that it wasn't big enough to be newsworthy or noteworthy. But nevertheless, I mean, again, Starfield had some success there. It sold well, but even that game didn't really move the needle to the point where people were going out in droves to buy hardware. So I think again, Chrono, to your point, they just haven't had that big AAA game that's in the zeitgeist of conversation and that every gamer wants. And I would say not just having those games, but having other AAA games that are critically acclaimed. I mean, those things, as much as people say, oh, reviews are biased. Look, those reviews, those things matter. If you don't believe me, it's why developers put bonuses, tie bonuses to compensation, the performance bonuses based on reviews, because those things do matter. They have a knock-on effect. Yeah, and I also just think it's an uphill battle for Microsoft to, I think, capture more market share, mind share in the console space. I mean, it's we talked about this on Crossfire, just the amount of market share and mind share PlayStation has. Not just, and I think sometimes content creators unfortunately tend to look at the market in more of a US centric perspective, point of view. But the PlayStation is globally just massive, huge. Wandering Dutch was on Crossfire last night. He is in Europe, and he talked about just the marketing and just PlayStation's presence in Europe. It's huge. Froggy asked me, Brap, will you re-up on Game Pass if Xbox firms up their lineup for the year to save money overall? If those games, if the games they release on Game Pass this year interest me, then yeah, I would re-up. But as it stands, just to play older titles that a lot of the titles that they release in Game Pass that I'm interested in, I've either played, or some of the newer ones I'm just not interested in playing. And if I was, I'd probably just buy them as one-offs. It'd be cheaper for me to do that. My issue with Game Pass is I wasn't using it. So I wasn't getting ROI out of Game Pass. But again, everyone's use case is different. There's going to be people that subscribe to Game Pass that are getting a lot of ROI out of it. I just wasn't. But maybe, yeah, to get your point, maybe, Froggy, it would depend. If the games that release are games that I am excited about and want to play, then yeah, then I would certainly re-up for Game Pass. But I'm not going to do it right now just for Hellblade 2. I think I'll just end up buying that game outright. Epic says, doesn't Microsoft use Xbox as a loss leader? I mean, that's quite a strategy to have for 20 plus years, and one that I think that shareholders would be concerned of if that was the case. I don't think they necessarily use as a loss leader. I think the intent is they want to make money off of Xbox hardware. All right, Nate says, I told people it's not about what you can do that the other box can do. It's about what you do. What do you do different? Give me a reason to buy you while I have the other console. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, Mr. Grimm says, I was in the same boat, had Game Pass on PC for a bit, but didn't use it enough, so I canceled it. Yeah, that's true, Froggy. I mean, I look, I don't agree that they don't care about making money on hardware. I mean, I think they would want to make money on hardware. But I think that the ultimate goal is to make money in the live service, get more people in the Game Pass. And that's the Game Pass. It's funny, like Slomo said this on the show. Game Pass is the primary platform now for Microsoft. But then again, like if you're going to lose money on hardware, why continue making money? Why continue making hardware then? And as a shareholder, why would you want them to support a business unit that's losing money, or a product that's losing money? Because negative growth isn't going to get you to more Game Pass subscribers. So then at that point, I wonder, is the juice worth the squeeze at that point for them? Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, we've seen them can, phones, other products because they weren't making money. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen with Xbox where people get crazy, but it wouldn't surprise me at some point if even after next generation, if they completely were out of hardware. Yeah, Capono. What's up, Capono? Capono says it's a great time to build a PC. Fast gaming CPU down to $350. Thank you, Capono. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, the best place to experience Xbox is PC. I've been saying that for years. If you have Game Pass, build yourself a PC, get Game Pass, and you'll be good to go. Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of anything from Coalition recently. Yeah, I want to see what I'm really interested in. Perfect Dark. I really want to see more Fable footage. The Vow, Perfect Dark, Fable are the three Xbox first party games I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, Microsoft does support legacy platforms, but I think Froggy, the legacy platforms to support have been making money. Again, hardware's not there. Hardware's never been Microsoft's forte. And I think, as I think about Game Pass, I think Game Pass and what they're trying to do and create, and when they're trying to create the, the App Store for Android and Apple, that to me speaks, that to me seems more in line with Microsoft today. Want legacy, go PC emulate. Oh my goodness. All right, before I wrap up the stream, I want to ask everyone in the live chat, what are you going to be playing during the holiday break? I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know if I'm going to play anything else. I may play Alan Wake 2 because I am picking that up on the Epic store for $24. What a great deal. What a time to be a gamer. Seriously, like this year has just been so great for video games. Chrono Rick says he's playing Diablo 4. I should get back to Diablo 4. I bought like the $100 edition of Diablo 4 and like played it for like a little bit and then just never went back. Froggy's playing Hogwarts Legacy and Far Cry 6. Ixie Resident Evil 4 VR on PlayStation. Ooh. I don't know if I could play that on VR. Oh, and Live a Live. Okay, JRPG. Yeah, dude, Live a Live. Square Enix JRPG. God of War Ragnarok. Devil Shooter playing God of War Ragnarok. I've not played Valhalla yet. I've heard some really good things about it. And Nate, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and probably Chain Echoes. He said, bro, I did the same. Diablo 4, got the $100 and got hell bored so fast. Yeah, man, same thing with me. Yeah, and Nate, we should run some Baldur's Gate 3 co-op. I've yet to do that, but I've talked to a few people that have done that and really, they said they said it's really awesome to play co-op Baldur's Gate 3. They really enjoyed it. I don't know if that's something. If you're up to it, man, let me know. Yeah, again, this is I'm looking at some of the games that people are playing right now over the holiday. I mean, so many great games on the list here. Oh, Fox wants to play. Okay, yeah. Let me know. Shoot me a DM. Let me know. I'm off. I don't go back to work until January 2nd, so I have plenty of time now. Yeah, but I mean, there's so many. I mean, my only concern of going into 2024 that I'm concerned I'm going to feel let down if 2020 if we don't get the cadence of game releases that I'm interested in 2024. I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a letdown for me because 2023 was so good for me as a gamer, but try to keep an open mind. But actually, that might be a bad thing because there are quite a few games that I'm seeing here in the live chat that people are playing over the break, and those are some games that I haven't got to. So if 2024 is slow, it may be a good opportunity to get back to some of the games that that I wanted to play in 2023 and just didn't have an opportunity to play. So it may not be a bad thing. Maybe a win-win either way. So, well, if Nintendo comes out with a new Switch towards the latter part of 2024, I would agree with that that statement. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, look, I want to thank everyone here in the live chat for hanging out with me this afternoon. Really appreciate it. This was a very impromptu holiday rant. I want to wish everyone here a safe and happy holidays and a very happy new year to everyone. I got to say, I really appreciate the support. Week in and week out, everyone shows up in the live chat, and to those who listen to us, who listen to the replay, who don't make it to the live chat or the live showing. But no, thank you everyone so much. I really appreciate the support. And we may do more rants, by the way. This may not be the last rant that we do during the holidays. Actually, I may do a rant. Definitely not tomorrow. Saturday or Monday's or Sunday's Christmas Eve. The Monday is Christmas, but maybe the 26th or 27th, I may do a rant. But if you haven't done so, follow me on Twitter or X, Brap_podcast. It's a great way to see when we go live, because I will tweet out or X out or whatever they call it now when I'm about to do a Brap rant. We may do a Wednesday night show next week. I don't know. But I think we are going to do a rant next week. But also, another great way to get notified when we go live is to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're alerted when new content is coming up and when we go live. So everyone, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support as always. Please hit that like button if you haven't done so already. It certainly helps out the channel. And again, everyone, have a great and happy and safe holidays and a happy new year. And enjoy playing video games too, because that's what it's all about. It's all about having fun. And we'll catch you next time. Thank you again.